Hello and welcome to today's video where we're going to be discussing a really common trap that I see people fall into regarding health halo foods. Okay, right, before we dive in, do go ahead and make sure to like the video if you're liking the content so far. Comments below, let me know your thoughts, and of course hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you do not miss out on any future videos. Sound good? Let's dive straight in. So I consistently see lots of people falling for the health halo food trap. Okay, now you may be aware of some of these terms that you see on various products out there. Okay, now before I dive into those, marketing can make us buy the stuff that we don't really want, we don't even need. Okay, and a key example of this is with health halo foods. Okay, let's say you've got some brownies, right, and you stick the word vegan on it. Suddenly those brownies are seen as some sort of health food, right? They're seen as some sort of nourishing, highly nutrient dense, the calories don't even count in that food because it's vegan. Right? Do you see what I mean? Right? These are what I mean when I say health halo foods. How about the word organic or low in sugar, soy free, dairy free, gluten free? Right? Just because something is gluten free or soy free does not mean that it's healthy. So what does healthy mean anyway? Okay? What do we mean by healthy? Okay, I have a real problem with this term because it's just far too broad, far too generic, and it doesn't allow for any specificity regarding our unique and individual situations. Okay, what is healthy food, what is nutritious, what is beneficial food for me is likely to be quite different to what is beneficial food for someone else. Okay, a key example of this would be I'm fine with lactose. Okay, I can eat all the dairy I want, yogurt, milk, and it doesn't cause me any problems. Okay, whereas someone next to me might be completely lactose intolerant. Okay, so some healthy food for me, let's say 0% fat Greek yogurt, great source of protein, really tasty, really nourishing. That's going to be a terrible food for someone else. Okay, so this term healthy, this broad net that we cast, these health foods that we discuss, that just does not apply to everyone. Okay, so firstly, I think it's completely irrelevant, this term healthy. We should get rid of it. Okay, it's not useful because it doesn't tailor to our specific and individual needs. There are, however, a few key elements that are worth raising here that can be broadly applied to most individuals out there. Okay, I say most, not all. Okay, generally speaking, we want to eat more, less processed, more nutrient-rich foods. Okay, consider more whole food options such as single ingredient options. Okay, a sweet potato is a sweet potato. High fructose corn syrup, for example, has been highly processed to get to that current state. Okay, if we think about the original state, corn, that's nutritious food. It's high in fiber. It's going to take a little while to eat. It's going to be quite nourishing. It's going to be full of nutrients. Okay, by the time you take corn and you process it enough to get to high fructose corn syrup, which is basically what goes into a load of processed foods to increase, the sweetness and that sort of palatability of the foods, we've stripped out any nutrition. We've stripped out all the good stuff. Okay, that is not nutritious, healthy food. Let's run through some examples of these health halo foods. Okay, number one, organic. The term organic, this is one of my real bugbears. Okay, just because something is organic does not mean it's healthy. Right, organic sugar is still sugar. It's also worth mentioning that these calories still count. Okay, just because they're from, say, gluten-free, organic, sugar-free sources, they still count. Multigrain. Okay, multigrain. Where do you see that? I typically think of various different cereals that say multigrain on the box. Okay, now multigrain is often tied with this connotation that it's really healthy, really good for us, really nutritious. Oh, it's got multiple different grains and therefore it must be better for us than just a single grain. Okay, now consider this. Okay, because multigrain is typically on things that are cereals. Okay, cereals are very processed foods typically. Okay, they've taken the original grain, the original whole grain, and they've basically stripped out most of the goodness and then formed it into something that is very palatable, very marketable, easy to put on the shelves, brand it in a way that makes you want to buy it, cover it in sugar perhaps, put a nice cartoon on it and just put the word multigrain on because it's got wheat, maybe barley, maybe corn, maybe some rye in there as well, right? Just because it's got multiple grains does not mean it's any healthier than just a single grain. Because it's still gone through a lot of processing to get to the end result. Imagine like some wheat in a field or some barley in a field versus, those Weetabix, those Cheerios that you're pouring into your bowl, right? They're very, very different foods, okay? Now I think the more like the original state they are, the better, the more nutritious they are going to be for you, okay? By the time they've ended up as a bowl full of cereal, it's been highly processed, it looks absolutely nothing like the original state. Just because it says multigrain does not mean it's any healthy for you. often the word vegan is used for healthier alternatives to, say, traditional products. Let's say a cake or a brownie or something. Okay, so if you have a vegan option or vegan alternative to that, often that comes with the connotation that it's healthy, it's more nutritious for us. Okay, now consider this: simple ingredients such as, say, butter or eggs, they have their roles within baking, for example. Now, if you remove those animal products, you have to find alternatives, substitutes, to create that same effect, that same sort of mouthfeel, that same taste within the dish that you're trying to create. Okay, let's say it's cake or brownie or something. Now, if that does not come naturally through a non-animal variant, okay, a vegan variant, then what must happen to make that vegan alternative? Okay, that is going to go through a lot of processing, maybe added chemicals. Okay, just because they're not from animal source does not necessarily mean they are nutritious, they are healthy. Okay, so that's going to go through a lot of processing to come out with something that resembles the original product, the original brownie, whatever it is, but it's often more processed, even unhealthier, should we say, even more devoid of nutrients. Okay, they've stripped more stuff out of it and they've thrown in lots of artificial stuff just to get a similar result that they can stick the word vegan on it to try and sell more of it. Okay, just because we have this tied association with the word vegan, that vegan is somehow healthy. Is that making sense? The general rule here is to consider what process they have gone through to put on that label. Okay, if they've stripped something out, let's say dairy, then what have they had to add in to create the effect that the original dairy would have? Okay, so for example, eggs can often bind things together really well, but if you don't have eggs, let's say it's dairy-free, vegan, all these different things, right? What have you had to add to create that similar effect? And if that doesn't come naturally, then how much processing has had to go into that to create a similar mouthfeel, a similar texture? Okay, these veggie burgers are often crammed full of numbers of artificial flavorings, artificial sweeteners, artificial texture enhancers. Okay, when in reality, just having a piece of meat is often better because it's kind of less processed, right? If you're adding all this artificial stuff, what good is that doing for your body? Okay, so just consider that next time you see something that's vegan option, or maybe a vegetarian option, or it's dairy free, it's not got soy in. Okay, maybe it shouldn't have had soy in the first place. So just sticking that on, it shouldn't really have any sway in whether you purchase it or not. Okay, so just take a step back, try and consider your choices when you're coming to buy these foods. Are you buying it solely for the fact that it says gluten free? A brownie that says gluten free, you maybe think, oh, calories don't count, I can have that. That's fine because it's gluten free. Unfortunately, that's not the case. Okay, those calories still count. Chances are, if they've stripped out the gluten, they've maybe added in something to create a similar mouthfeel, similar experience for you, so you can enjoy it the same amount. Okay, often that's more processed, more devoid of nutrients, potentially even worse for you. Okay, and another key point here is that with these health halo foods comes a doubling, tripling even sometimes of price. You'll often see something with vegan written on it, or high in protein, or dairy free, soy free, whatever it is, just bumped up in price. There's free from sections in the supermarkets. I walk past those and I think they are so expensive. Okay, I'm really lucky that I'm not celiac. I handle gluten no problem. But as soon as you strip something out, as soon as they have to pull out some certain ingredient that has some sort of effect on the food, on the texture, on the mouthfeel of it, they're going to bump up the price. Okay, so if you can, if it's not a problem for you, if you're not gluten-free, if you're not celiac, then consider other options. Do you need to have those foods? Potentially not. Are you just buying it because it says vegan on it, thinking that it's healthy? Cut through the marketing bollocks. Cut through the noise that the marketing is trying to get across to you. Okay, see through them just trying to sell you the product. Okay, have a read of the ingredients. If there's tons of stuff that you don't recognize the name of, it's probably not great, right? So I hope that makes sense, and hopefully that will enable you to also save a load of money, right? Because you don't need to be buying these gluten-free, vegan, soy-free, dairy-free options unless you have challenges with, say, soy or dairy, or you're actually vegan. Okay, in terms of next steps, I highly recommend you check out some of the other videos. If not, go ahead and join my free Facebook community where I'm sharing tons of additional content to help you lose fat without dieting. And of course, if you don't want to chat, all my social media links are below, so just drop me a message and let's have a chat. Thank you again for watching. Speak to you soon.